that, I think, was the first time that the Carnival Spirit came here. Okay, well, let's talk about what's happening today. Right now, we have a 2.5-hour drive up the South Klondike Highway. That sounds like a really long time to be in a bus, and it kind of is, but I promise it won't feel like that long because we stop multiple times throughout the drive, and it is beautiful. So we'll be getting on and off, and it's a really beautiful area to see. So I promise it won't feel terrible to be on a bus for that long. Then at about 11 o'clock, we arrive in Carcross, which is a town in the Yukon Territory. And there we'll have lunch. And there's a bunch of fun things to do at lunch. Everyone's favorite part of that is the Huskies. There's a team of Huskies that race in the Iditarod each winter. And you can ride the dog sled and play with the puppies. It's a really fun place to be. And then after that, we go explore the town of Carcross itself.
It is the ultimate Yukon adventure.
And then in the afternoon, we head back to Fraser, British Columbia. So on our way up the pass,
how's it going?
I should tell you this, we go from Alaska into British Columbia and then into the Yukon Territory. So we go back to British Columbia and we board the train, and you'll ride the White Pass and Yukon route train down the White Pass back here into town. So we'll be getting back into town on the train about 4:30. What time is your all aboard tonight? 7 o'clock?
8:30.
Oh wow, okay. So you'll have plenty of time after the tour to walk around town. So I'll tell you how to do that and how to get back to your ship later. On our left is a little pond. We're about to cross over a creek. In about 2 or 3 weeks, this will start filling up with king salmon. It's a pretty small river. It only goes about 2 miles up into town, but the king salmon do come up this river. Now, who knows why Skagway exists or where it came from? Gold Rush, I heard someone say it. There was the Klondike Gold Rush of 1898 that came through town. There was never any gold found in Skagway. The gold is all 500 miles north of us in the Yukon Territory. But Skagway was one of the main trailheads to reach the gold. So it was a boom town during the gold rush. And so the next 6 blocks that we're about to drive through are many of these buildings are left over from that time period. And this is all part of the Klondike Gold Rush National Historic Park. So these buildings are maintained by the National Park Service to keep their gold rush appearance. On the left is the original Railroad Administration Building and Train Depot. Now it's the National Park Service Visitor Center. Great museum to walk through after the tour with lots of artifacts from the gold rush. And ahead of us, and then on our left as we turn, is the Red Onion Saloon. It's our most famous saloon here in town. During the gold rush, it was a saloon downstairs and a brothel upstairs. You can still see the red lights in the upstairs windows. At that time, the men would pay $5 for 15 minutes with a lady of negotiable affection, as they said. I know, men, you're all thinking, what do you do with the other 12 minutes? On our left is the building covered in driftwood. There's over 9,000 pieces of driftwood on that storefront. It was the meeting place of the Arctic Brotherhood, a fraternity during the gold rush. Now, most of these buildings house different businesses now than they did during the gold rush. However, the light blue building ahead of us on the left that says Deadman's is one of the originals that it was opened by a photographer during the gold rush named Eric Hegg, and almost any photograph you see of the gold rush was taken by that man, and he operated out of that very same shop. On the right ahead of us is the Skagway Hardware Company, one of the few businesses here on Broadway open year-round. Most of these shops close down once the cruise ships stop coming. But the Hardware Company is like our little Walmart here in town, and their motto is, if we don't have it, then you don't need it. Alright, now on the right, look up at the mountain. About halfway up, you'll see a painting up on the rocks. Not for ships this time, but it's a watch face, and it says Kermsey's Curios. The business to our right-hand side right now is Kermsey's Curios. It was a watch store that was opened during the gold rush. At that time, that entire hillside had been deforested. The lumber was used to build these buildings. So because it was a bare rock wall, the businesses would paint the advertisements up there on the rocks. So that one's maintained to show how it was back then. And on our left is the only bank and post office in town. Now in Skagway's heyday, when there was 30,000 prospectors coming through town, there was about 80 saloons and bars here. Now, with a population of about 900, we have about 80 jewelry stores. And on the right is the Skagway Brewing Company. I'll tell you more about that in just a minute. Because again on the right, this old red house during the gold rush was a bakery downstairs and a
Brothel upstairs.
brothel upstairs. They advertised hot buns both day and night. Now on the left, notice this rhubarb growing in this front yard. There's an interesting story behind the rhubarb here. During the gold rush, as the men came through town, there was very little fresh produce available to eat, and so because of the lack of vitamin C in their diets, they were constantly dealing with a terrible disease called scurvy. It's a really debilitating disease, and a man named Henry Clark knew that rhubarb is full of vitamin C, so he began planting it at that time, and it grew so well that it now grows wild throughout town. So you'll see it on street corners and in vacant lots and people's backyards.
Yeah.
Rhubarb season is almost over.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, there's more here on the left in this person's backyard too. Skagway is known as the Garden City of Alaska because we can grow excellent produce and flowers here because of our good growing climate. In fact, every year in Alaska there's a contest to see who can grow the largest vegetables, anything from cabbages to pumpkins or other things. And 2 years ago, the largest cabbage that won the contest weighed over 900 pounds.
Good heavens.
It was absolutely massive.
That's a lot of cabbage.
It was a Fiat, Sean. Sean, it was a
Okay,
Fiat.
I know that was a lot of information to throw at you really fast, but I wanted to point out those buildings while we were in
Not a
It
downtown.
was a Fiat, not a bug.
Not a bug.
Do you have any questions right now about Skagway? Black engine number 73 is the steam engine. It will be running today, and it's the pride and joy of the fleet. It's a really neat thing to see. And then on the right again are the KC cars, these tiny little orange cars. They're the maintenance cars they use every morning to ride up and down the tracks and make sure they're clear of debris and safe to ride for the day. As we cross over the Skagway River,
Narrow gauge.
look down to the left, and you can see our airport. Those two little airstrips there. You can only land very tiny planes, about 5 to 9 seater planes, but the locals proudly claim it to be an international airport. It's only because they can land the small planes from Whitehorse a few hours away in Canada. I heard one of you just mention that the railroad's a narrow gauge. It is a narrow gauge. It's one of just a few in the world. So a standard gauge railroad, the tracks are 4 feet, 8.5 inches apart, but on a narrow gauge, they're only 3 feet apart. I'll tell you more about that later as we talk about the trains more. But I want to point out, in my opinion, the best attraction in town on the right is my house. That's where I live, and the bus yard. Okay. Well, that was basically all of town. We'll head out of town now, and we'll drive about 75 miles up this highway. This highway is called, again, the South Klondike Highway, and it makes Skagway one of just 3 towns in all of southeast Alaska that is connected to the interior by a road. The other way to and past Juneau is one solid sheet of ice. So that's why no roads can be built out of Juneau, because all the canyons are blocked by the glaciers. Now the railroad tracks went up Denver Valley and gained elevation there. They come out right next to us now. So we will parallel the tracks for the next few miles. So I mentioned that this canyon was home to the White Pass Trail, the trail that men used to get to the gold. And I want to point out the only place from the highway in the whole canyon that we can still see the trail. So look off to the right, down below the tracks in that rock slide area, parallel to the tracks, not too far below it is kind of a white line. You'll catch glimpses of it through the trees. That is the remnants of the trail of 1898. And there's a train out ahead of us as well. You can see a train up there on the tracks. While you were in Tracy Arms, did you see any wildlife there?
Yes.
I'm guessing you probably saw seals there, right? Harbor seals, eagles, and some people saw whales. Good deal. I have been here for the last 3 years.
Always take it.
If it does get too warm or too cool at any point, please let me know and I'll fix that for us. And especially if the windows start to fog up, please tell me. Sometimes in the back of the bus I don't notice if they fog up, so don't hesitate to holler out if they do. This building that we're passing is the U.S. Customs Office. We are not stopping here since we're leaving the U.S. The border itself isn't for another 7 miles, and then Canadian Customs isn't for 7 miles after that. The border is at the summit of the mountain, and it's really high up and incredibly harsh conditions during the winter, and so they built both customs offices lower on each side of the border. Ice sheeter below those jagged mountains. There's a large lake in it, and the pipeline carries water down that mountain to a turbine at the bottom that generates all of Skagway's electricity. You can also see a waterfall down below the tracks there called Pitchfork Falls. Now there's no trail to that lake, but last summer my friends and I wanted to go see it. So we started hiking up the mountain, and we learned pretty quickly that the pipeline is large enough to walk on, and so we just walked up the pipeline the whole way up. Made it a pretty easy hike. The men who were coming on the Gold, really how hard it was for both the men and the horses here. So Jack London wrote, "The horses died like mosquitoes in the first frost, and from Skagway to Bennett, they rotted in heaps. They died at the rocks, they were poisoned at the summit, and they starved at the lakes. They fell off the trail, or what there was of it, and they went through it. In the river, they drowned under their loads, or were smashed to pieces against the boulders. They snapped their legs in the crevices and broke their backs, falling backwards with their packs.
Oh boy.
In the sloughs, they sank from sight, or smothered in the slime, and they were disemboweled in the bogs, where the corduroy logs turned and end up in the mud. Men shot them, worked them to death, and when they were gone, went back to the beach to buy more. Some did not bother to shoot them, stripping the saddles off and the shoes, and leaving them where they fell. Their hearts turned to stone, those which did not break, and they became beasts, the men on the Dead Horse Trail." I think that paints a really vivid picture of what was happening here, and just how terrible it was for both the men and the animals.
Because I didn't get what I wanted.
So you can see that the train tracks go up Dead Horse Gulch, and again they get an elevation there across the canyon on that far canyon wall. You can see the high line of the tracks, and they go up that canyon to the right, and we'll stay in this canyon to our left. So we don't see them again for quite some time now. That's still the Skagway River down at the bottom. That canyon was also carved out by glaciers. You can see how smoothly curved and U-shaped the canyon walls are. And the difference is ahead of us, you can see that this canyon that we're going up is a V-shape, so it's carved out by a river. On our left is a waterfall called Bridal Bell Falls. I can't stop here, the blind corner. You'll see that again from the train later on. There's a larger portion of the falls down below the road that we can't see, and they'll point it out from the train. So you'll see that this afternoon again.
Yeah, I'm surprised they just have a pool.
Yeah, but this was a falls right there.
That's it. Just do what I do and close your eyes, okay? And we're about to see my favorite waterfall of the canyon. Kind of a quick glimpse, and if you keep watching as we pull forward more, you'll see it better. But look off to the left-hand side right now, and you'll see a narrow waterfall coming down this canyon.
There it is.
best view so far. Look back to the right. Those are the Sawtooth Mountains. I'm not going to stop here because once we get to the pullout you can't see them as well, but I'll stop again later where we can see them still. Now look back at that bridge that we crossed. It has a really unique construction. It only has a tower and it's only anchored on the left side. The reason for that is that a fault line goes right beneath that bridge. So it's only anchored on from here, the left side, and the right side is basically just resting on the road on the right-hand side.
Wow.
And that way, as the earthquakes happen and the fault line shifts, the bridge can slide back and forth against the road and it's not torn apart during the earthquakes. If you're in the red, you're dead. Exactly right. Maybe some places where you live. For example, in Utah, where I'm from, the tree line is at 10,000 foot elevation. The reason that it's so low here is that the further north you go, the lower the tree line gets. As the environment gets colder and darker during the winter, it's harsher higher up, and so the tree line gets lower. So in Utah, it's 10,000 feet. If you go north to Alberta, say Jasper, Banff National Parks, it's around 7,000 feet. And then here it's 3,000 feet. And here we are crossing the border into British Columbia, so welcome to Canada.
Hey.
We have about 5 Canadians on board. Who wants to signal Canada for us? I don't know it. No volunteers? Oh, come on. I'm going to pull off here. We aren't going to get out yet, but I want to show you a beautiful waterfall down below us and a pretty lake as well. This is right on the border, that waterfall. It's called International Falls. And, oh, we got a lot of dust coming up. It'll blow away in just a minute. You can see that there's 2 streams that branch away from that waterfall. One that comes towards us and one that goes into that lake. This is a watershed divide. So that means that the water goes into 2 separate oceans. So the water that flows back behind us towards Skagway will enter the Skagway River and flow 14 miles into the Pacific Ocean. But the water that flows out ahead of us into Canada will enter the Yukon River and flow over 2,000 miles into the Bering Sea. Now there is so much snow here this year that at the end of May, just about a month and a half ago, that mountain out to our left a little ways behind us was still completely covered in snow, almost no rock showing. So I grabbed my skis and I hiked up it to the top and then skied back down. It was about a 2.5 hour climb up and a 4-minute ride back down, but it was worth it. It was fun. And out ahead of us, this is called Tormented Valley. It's a really fascinating landscape. I love all the rock up here and all the water. This valley is solid granite, and so as the snow melts, this is where we get about 30 feet of snow each year. So as the snow melts, rather than sinking into the ground, it stays cooled on top of these beautiful lakes and ponds that you'll see all around us for the next few miles. So again, this is called Tormented Valley. They got that name during the gold rush because no matter what time of year the men came through, it proved to be a really torturous place to hike. You can see that during the summer, there's so much rock and water that it was hard to navigate around all the water, and you can imagine trying to lead a horse through this. There's lots of drop-offs and ledges and things that made it really hard for the horses. And then during the winter, it was much easier walking because you can see these lakes out here in the bottom of the valley to the right. They freeze over, and so the men could just walk across the frozen ice. But the temperatures drop down to negative 50 degrees Fahrenheit, and there's really fast wind that comes through, and so no matter what time of year they came, it was a really difficult place to be. The bottom, just one solid ice cube. So because of that, the fish can't survive in it, and we call it a sterile lake.
Summit.
The purple flowers blooming out in these meadows, the darker purple ones are called Arctic lupins.
Okay. And nuke shoops.
I do, yeah. It is. It's really.
Can we knock them down, Dad?
You can build your own.
What do you mean knock them down?
I don't care. Here, stand there, guys. Just stand there for a second. Woohoo! Cameron.
Did he just knock over one?
Why don't you build one instead of knocking them all over? Look at the mountains, guys.
Scared I'm gonna knock one down. Gotta work it. That give you a lesson.
How do you adjust?
Up on the top, the little button around where you take a picture. That takes it closer and farther out.
What?
Can I go check out that big one over here?
Yeah. Be careful, buddy. You might need to use your hands.
Okay, Braden's bus, let's go.
Oh.
Starting the bus for me.
You're starting the bus? Scary.
All right, have a seat. Driver's seat. I'm tired of driving. I'm gonna let him take over for a while now. All right, Cameron. So this is the key to start the bus. And after you start it, this button makes the engine go faster. So turn that button on. And then over here, turn the headlights. And all three of these on as well. Okay. So to start the bus, turn this key towards the door. It'll let it kind of hard. Hold it till it starts. Yes. Nice. Okay, now press that. Yep, good. Hear that? And then these three keys. Perfect. Good job.
What do you think of that, huh?
So it carries the glacial silt. And I love the view here of the tracks crossing the Thompson River. Yes, those are the tracks that you'll be on this afternoon going back on the train. Okay, we are approaching Canadian Customs, so please pull out your passports and open them up to the page with your photo ID on it. Fairly early on, after the gold rush began, the Canadian government realized that there was a lot of men that were starving on the trail throughout Canada. And the reason for that was that the supply posts, once the men left Skagway, were really few and far between. So they didn't want all these men starving throughout on the trail, and so the Canadian government set up a law where every single man who crossed the border had to have an entire year's supply of goods with him. And it was a set list laid out by the Canadian government of 400 pounds of flour, 100 pounds of bacon, 150 pounds of beans, and so forth. And it added up to be almost 2,000 pounds of goods. So the White Pass Trail is 45 miles long, or the Chilkoot Trail is 33 miles long. But either way, they had to have the full 1 ton of goods with them before they were allowed to cross the border. So as you think that through, you realize right away that one man cannot carry that much weight over the mountain by himself. So how it worked was each man would carry between 50 and 70 pounds on his back, and then he would load his horse up with around 150. So if you had one horse, they go up in trips about 200 pounds, and drop off a load at the border, and then go back for more. And so doing it in trips of 200 pounds would mean about 10 trips up and down the White Pass. So for a 45-mile trail up and back is 90 miles. Doing it 10 times would be almost 1,000 miles of hiking. And so the trail, being 45 miles long, might not seem like too long of a trail. It's kind of a typical backpacking length for a trail, for a long backpacking trip. But because they had to do it over and over and over, it made it about a 3-month journey going up and down the mountain. Now as we cross the train tracks here, we'll actually be able to see the original customs office from the gold rush, where the mounted policeman would check every man's 1 ton of goods. You won't see it till we're actually on top of the tracks, but look down to the left, around the bend, back in the trees, you'll see a tiny little log cabin. So again, that's the original customs office from the gold rush.
Yeah, way back there.
And then that big gravel pile blocks it from you, but I hope you got a glimpse of it.
See you right there?
2,000 pounds per person. Over half of that was food, and then the rest was other supplies. Now that we've dropped down in elevation, you can see that the forest around us has changed once again. So we've gone now from the rainforest in Skagway to the subalpine tundra in Tormented Valley. And now for the rest of the time we'll be in this type of forest. This is called a boreal forest. So boreal is an evergreen forest that's close to the Arctic or far north. Most of these trees around us now are either lodgepole pine trees or mountain hemlock for the evergreens. And there's a lot of Arctic willow and mountain ash, and you'll see lots of quaking aspens later on. But this forest is a pretty typical type of forest that stretches for a few hundred miles north and east of us. Yes, you got it. T-U-T-S-H-I. You'll see the sign in about 1 block. I'm glad you guessed it half. I would have had to give you over. Who guessed it? Raise your hand. All right. T-U-T-S-H-I. On the right is the sign right here. Lake Tushai. It's a very deep lake. You can see how large it is now. It's it comes from a Tlingit word that means black waters because it's so deep. It's on average about 500 feet deep.
Look at that.
And it's about 30 miles long. It's a big horseshoe shape, and we'll drive down about 10 or 12 miles of it right now.
What about fish in it?
Fish in it. There's lots of fish in this lake, yes. So this lake is very deep, so only the surface freezes, not the whole thing. So in this lake, there's Arctic grayling, there's lake trout, and northern pike. Both the lake trout and the northern pike can get to be a couple feet long, and the pike have really big teeth, and they're kind of scary looking fish, but they're both good to eat. The lake trout are easier to eat. The pike have lots of bones in them, but they're all good fish.
Must have walleye.
I don't know. Ask him.
Does it have walleye too?
Not walleye, no. Good work on guessing that. It's hard to spell.
Yeah, you have to do exactly what Brian's saying. That's a trick. You put it in over. That's exactly what you do, and you reflex the
Hey, Cam, you want to... Don't throw rocks. You want a picture with Grandpa?
Yeah.
Here, get over this way. Here, get that way. Get over there.
Okay.
This way.
I want to take this one.
Oh, that's a good one.
Go, go, go.
Cameron, quit throwing rocks. Welcome to
You can
Utah.
picture those. Looks like too much in shadow. Oops, sorry, Sean. You can really see it. It's too dark.
Right hand side, you can now see this wooden structure ahead of us on the right. This was called, it's called a stamp mill. So there was an aerial tramway that would carry the rock down the mountain like a ski lift. It was a tramway with big metal buckets. They would pull the rock out of the mine shaft and put it in the buckets and bring it down to the stamp mill. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, you can look ahead of us for the next few minutes here, and you'll see some of the aerial tram towers that are silhouetted against the sky now ahead of us. They're slowing down ahead of us, I'm not sure why. Look up on the left for mountain goats, I thought we see them up there. If any of you can remember the movie The Mask of Zorro, they use the same type of aerial tramway in the mines there. Thank you for that. So anyway, I want to tell you more about that mine. It's a really, really neat mine. It was opened by a man named John Conrad back in 1908. And he had a goal of making a state-of-the-art mining facility here. He did a really good job of it. So you can see now up on the left these aerial tram towers.
See him up there.
So those would carry the rock down the mountain. There was machinery inside of the mill that would grind the rock into a powder. Then, once it was in powder form, they could use chemicals to float the silver out of the rock, because the silver and the rock has different densities. So they would float the silver out, they would collect it, dry it out, package it up, put it on a boat here on the lake, and ship it across the lake to the town of Carcross, where we'll be in a few minutes. In Carcross, it would be loaded onto the train and sent down to Skagway. And in Skagway, it would then be loaded onto a barge and shipped down to Tacoma, Washington for smeltering. So it's quite a process to get the rock out of that mountain and all the way out of Canada down to Washington. But in 1910, at that mine's peak production, it was producing 10 tons of silver ore concentrate every single day. There's a huge amount of silver coming out of that mountain. At that time, the miners who worked in the mines lived in a town called Conrad City, down here on our right, where the lakeshore flattens out ahead of us, where all the trees are. Excuse me for 1 second. I felt the sneeze coming, but it never came. So, in 1920, when the Venus mine closed down, Conrad City emptied out and became a ghost town. So the following winter, a few of the buildings that were in Conrad City were hauled across the frozen lake to the town of Carcross. So I'll point out later on a couple buildings that used to be here in Conrad City, and now they're in Carcross. They discovered a new silver vein in the 1970s and mined it for a few years. So these cement structures on our right-hand side right now are left over from the mining from the 70s. And then this highway was built in the late 70s, and they couldn't mine anymore on these hillsides because the trailings were being dumped down and they would have blocked the road. And so the mining stopped then, but they also didn't find any more silver that was worth mining. And so if you hike up there, you can still find rocks with some silver in them, but there's not enough to open a new mine up.
Tagish Lake, T-H-E-I-S-H.
the summer, the rocks keep on falling down that. We're going to pull off here because we have a great view of Bove Island out to the right. I'm going to pull in front of this bus.
A little more this way. A little more. Beauty, eh? Okay, let me get a picture here. Oh, this is lovely. Cameron in front of Bove Island. Very rugged.
Can we go see the post stand now?
Go see the what?
That stand I saw.
The stand you saw over by the bus?
Yeah?
Okay.
Cameron.
Cameron, y'all?
Yeah.
Cam?
Cameron, I want a picture.
You turn it off?
I don't think so.
Uh-oh, time to go, Sean. Hurry up.
Come here,
Come here, Cameron. Come here.
Hurry, hurry, hurry.
You get one, Sean?
We'll see.
Okay, let's go.
Lake.
March.
And derelict is an old boat that's no longer in use. So this poem is called The Cremation of Sam McGee by Robert Service. There are strange things done in the midnight sun by the men who moil for gold. The Arctic trails have their secret tales that would make your blood run cold. The Northern Lights have seen queer sights, but the queerest they ever did see was that night on the marge of Lake LaBarge. I cremated Sam McGee. Now Sam McGee was from Tennessee, where the cotton blooms and blows. Why he left his home in the south to roam round the pole, God only knows. He was always cold, but the land of gold seemed to hold him like a spell, though he'd often say in his homely way that he'd sooner live in hell. On a Christmas day, we were mushing our way over the Dawson Trail. Talk of your cold through the parka's fold, it stabbed like a driven nail. If our eyes would close, then the lashes froze, till sometimes we couldn't see. It wasn't much fun, but the only one to whimper was Sam McGee. And that very night, as we lay packed tight in our rows beneath the snow, and the dogs were fed and the stars overhead were dancing heel and toe, he turned to me, and Cap, says he, I'll cash in this trip, I guess. And if I do, I'm asking that you won't refuse my last request. Well, he seemed so low that I couldn't say no, and then he says with a sort of moan, it's this cursed cold and it's got right hold, till I'm chilled clean through to the bone. Yet he being dead is my awful dread of the icy grave that pains. So I want you to swear that foul or fair, you'll cremate my last remains. Well, a pal's last need is a thing to heed, so I swore I would not fail. And we started on at the streak of dawn, but God, he looked ghastly pale. He crouched on the sleigh, and he raved all day of his home in Tennessee. But before nightfall, a corpse was all that was left of Sam McGee. There wasn't a breath in that land of death, and I hurried horror-driven, with a corpse half hid that I couldn't get rid, because of a promise given. It was lashed to the sleigh, and it seemed to say, you may tax your brawn and brains, but you promised true, and it's up to you to cremate those last remains. Now a promise made is a debt unpaid, and the trail has its own stern code. In the days to come, though my lips were dumb, in my heart how I cursed that load. In the long, long night, by the lone firelight, while the huskies round in a ring, howled out their woes to the homeless snows, oh God, how I loathed the thing. And every day, that quiet clay seemed to heavy and heavier grow, but on I went, though the dogs were spent, and the grub was getting low. The trail was bad, and I felt half mad, but I swore I would not give in. And I'd often sink to the hateful thing, and hearken with a grin. Till I came to the marge of Lake LaBarge, and a derelict there lay. It was jammed in the ice, but I saw in a trice, it was called the Alice May. I looked at it, and I thought a bit. Then I looked at my frozen chum. Then here, said I with a sudden cry, is my crematorium. Some planks I tore from the cabin floor, and I lit the boiler fire. Some coal I found that was lying around, and I heaped the fuel higher. The flames just soared, and the furnace roared, such a blaze you seldom see. Then I burrowed a hole in the glowing coal, and I stuffed in Sam McGee. And then I made a hike, for I didn't like to hear him sizzle so. And the heavens scowled, and the huskies howled, and the wind began to blow. It was icy cold, but the hot sweat rolled down my cheeks, and I don't know why. And the greasy smoke, in an inky cloak, went streaking down the sky. I do not know how long in the snow I wrestled with grisly fear, but the stars came out, and they danced about, ere again I ventured near. I was sick with dread, but I bravely said, I'll just take a peep inside. I guess he's cooked, and it's time I looked. And then the door I opened wide. And there sat Sam, looking cool and calm, in the heart of the furnace roar. And he wore a smile you could see a mile, and he said, please close that door. It's fine in here, but I greatly fear you'll let in the cold and storm. Since I left Plum Tree, down in Tennessee, it's the first time I've been warm. There are strange things done in the midnight sun by the men who moil for gold. The Arctic trails have their secret tales that would make your blood run cold. The northern lights have seen queer sights, but the queerest they ever did see was that night on the marge of Lake LaBarge. I cremated Sam McGee. The cremation of Sam McGee by Robert Service. Territory. There's a lot of other small towns like this spread throughout the territory, and it's mostly First Nations people. In Canada, we call them First Nations for the native people. Out to the left, you can see the red railroad bridge, and out past that is Lake Bennett. So that's the lake where the trails, both the Whitepath and Chillieu trails ended.
Car cross. Caribou crossing. Sure.
Mary's Lake on our right is a really important place for migratory waterfowl. In the spring and fall especially, there's thousands of game birds that flock through here on their migration routes. You can see some geese out there right now. Okay, we are going to drive past town right now and go a few miles away to a little outpost that is still called Caribou Crossing. And that's where we'll have lunch. We have a delicious lunch waiting for us. It's barbecue chicken and a baked potato and coleslaw and rolls. And my favorite part, all you can eat homemade donuts. They are delicious.
What do you think of that?
And I will challenge any of you to a donut eating contest.
You gonna challenge him, Cameron?
Before I tell you more about lunch, I want to point out on the right hand side.
You gonna eat the donuts, Sean?
This is the Carcross Airport.
You gonna eat some donuts?
With the orange windsock there, and then you'll see the runway right now on the right.
Oh, there's the runway. There's the airport. You know,
So, at lunch as well for drinks, there's water on every table, and then there's free coffee and tea. And then you can also purchase juices, sodas, or beer. There's Yukon Gold and one other kind of beer that I can't think of right now. But after lunch, there's a lot to do. As you get off the coach, I'm going to give you all a sticker. And you need to keep that sticker on your left shoulder, keep it visible, because that's your ticket into lunch and the next few things I'll explain. So, after lunch, we have an hour and a half to walk around. Well, excuse me, we have an hour and a half here total. So after lunch, you have about an hour to walk around. And everyone's favorite part are the Huskies, like I mentioned earlier. There's a team of Huskies here that race in the Iditarod each winter. And there's puppies you can go play with. They're adorable right now. And you can also purchase tickets to ride the dog sled. Obviously, there's no snow here right now, but it's a cart with wheels. And this is how the musher trains them to race in the Iditarod. She has them pull you around all summer long. It's only $30 for a ride on the dog sled. If you were to buy a tour off the ship for dog sledding, it'd be a lot more than that. But since you're already here, it's not expensive. I'm going to pause to point out a really unusual sight. On the right-hand side, get ready for the world's smallest desert, the Carcross Desert. On the right.
There you go. World's smallest desert right there.
The world's smallest desert.
Right there. See, it's full of sun.
All right.
So anyways, back to lunch stuff. So after you go see the puppies and the dogs, if you want to ride the dog sleds, you can do that. It's a really fun tour. It's a 15-minute ride, and she'll tell you all about how she trains them and about the race itself and everything in between. There's also, I know the last thing you expected to find here, but it's a petting zoo. There's a petting zoo with goats and sheep and pigs and horses and rabbits and chickens and all sorts of things to go look at. There's some baby goats right now that are adorable. There's also a really beautiful wildlife museum full of taxidermied animals from all across Alaska and the Arctic, everything from musk oxen to polar bears. Really a great museum to walk through. There's also a nice gift shop here in Skagway, and I'm sure that you'll see at the other ports as well. There is tons and tons of jewelry stores. I'm not sure why that is, but they're there. And most of it is just random gems. But if you want some jewelry that is really unique to this area, one of my fellow bus drivers, his name is Bruce, he lives in Skagway year-round. He has for about 25 years now. And during the winter, when he's not driving buses, he collects and carves woolly mammoth ivory. And they sell it here in the gift shop. It's I shouldn't say carve, it's more polished pieces of ivory that he has on necklaces and earrings and little pendants and things. So that's a really unique jewelry that's handmade in Skagway if you want to take a look at that. On the right is also, there's an ice cream parlor with my favorite kind of ice cream that's unique to Canada, Tiger Tail. It's orange flavored ice cream with, you ready for this, black licorice mixed in, which might sound terrible, and it is the best ice cream ever. Even my friends who don't like black licorice love this ice cream. So if you want to try something new and unique, that would be a fun thing to try. So let me give you a little orientation of the place. To the right is the ice cream parlor. To the right again, behind the blue Yukon Goat Walk, is the petting zoo, and back there further in, you'll see a sign that says Malamute, and there's another sled dog sign. That's where the sled dogs are and the puppies. And then here to our right, behind the purple storefront, is the Wildlife Museum and the gift shop. If you want to buy tickets to ride the dog sleds, I would suggest buying them before lunch. You walk right inside the gift shop and you can purchase them there at the counter. And then ahead of us, where it says Moon Lake Outfitters, back behind that to the right is the barbecue lunch, and you'll get in line there to grab your lunch plate. And then back behind the lunch are the washrooms. There's more washrooms behind us as well. Ooh, okay, I have a lot to tell you. I'm going to go park the bus out here to our left, right next to these flags. And I might be behind these other two buses, so you have to come look for me. I'm not going to move the bus again, so when it's time to go, you can come find me. We're going to leave here at 12:30. So right...
Sean.
He said we were leaving at 12:30.
Yes, ma'am.
And we don't have 40 minutes.
Okay.
Plenty of time.
I know.
Let's go see the dogs, guys. Let's see the
Now you
dogs.
can tell where the dogs are. Mom, here's that trash can.
I think this way.
It says to see the pups, head through the...
See the pups.
Come in, push the gate.
Your dog. Yeah, but I'm not. Sylvie.
There's some pups. Hey, Silver. Oh, buddy. Look behind you, Cameron.
Get down by one, Sean. Sean, get down by one.
Cameron, be careful. Cameron?
Cameron, come here.
Oh, he's trying to untangle. I see what you're doing.
He was biting my shoelace.
He's just playing. He's playing.
He's gonna get you. Okay, that's all we need. Dog tooth on that too.
Yeah,
No, I'm not letting him do that.
good idea.
Don't step on it.
I'm guessing that's cold.
Find some more pups, Cameron.
Just jump.
You take it off, but you can't throw it. Emerald Lake.
Look that down. That's like all the stickers.
Sure. Here you go.
Wait, get back there. You're dead.
Here.
Hey guys, no, Sean, get back there. Sean, go back there.
Come here.
You fall down?
Think of about the rest of the key.
Come on, son.
That's fine. He's tired of having his big stomach. He's like Papa.
Cameron.
He takes after Papa. Where's Papa?
You weren't smiling, Dad.
Do you?
Dad, look here, smile. Okay. Smile, Dad. Sean, Cameron. There we go. Senator, Dad, have this.
He's acting natural. He's acting natural.
Smile, everybody. Dad. Did you get me?
Here, Cameron, can you take one of me and Mom?
I'll take it.
You take it.
Mama, can I have it?
What I put?
This and this. The buildings that were lights.
I like these rocks down the back.
Okay.
So this poem is called The Spell of the Yukon, again by Robert Service. I wanted the gold and I sought it. I scrabbled and mucked like a slave. Was it famine or scurvy? I fought it. I hurled my youth into a grave. I wanted the gold and I got it. Came out with a fortune last fall. Yet somehow, life's not what I thought it. And somehow, the gold isn't all. No, there's the land. Have you seen it? It's the cussedest land that I know. From the big, busy mountains that screen it, to the deep, death-like valleys below. Some say God was tired when he made it. Some say it's a fine land to shun. Maybe, but there's some that would trade it for no land on earth, and I'm one. You come to get rich, damn good reason. You feel like an exile at first. You hate it like hell for a season, and then you are worse than the worst. It grips you like some kinds of sinning. It twists you from foe to a friend. It seems it's been since the beginning. It seems it will be to the end. I've stood in some mighty mountain hollow that's plumb full of hush to the brim. I've watched the big husky sun wallow in crimson and gold and grow dim, till the moon set the pearly peaks gleaming, and the stars tumbled out neck and crop, and I thought that I surely was dreaming, with a piece of the world piled on top. The summer no sweeter was ever, the sunshiny woods all athrill, the grayling a-leap in the river, the bighorn asleep on the hill. The strong life that never knows harness, the wilds where the caribou call, the freshness, the freedom, the farness. Oh God, how I'm stuck on it all. The winter, the brightness that blinds you, the white land locked tight as a drum, the cold fear that follows and finds you, the silence that bludgeons you dumb, the snows that are older than history, the woods where the weird shadows slant, the stillness, the moonlight, the mystery. I've bade him goodbye, but I can't. There's a land where the mountains are nameless, and the rivers all run God knows where. There are lives that are erring and aimless, and deaths that just hang by a hair. There are hardships that nobody reckons. There are valleys unpeopled and still. There's a land, oh it beckons and beckons, and I want to go back, and I will. They're making my money diminish. I'm sick of the taste of champagne. Thank God when I'm skinned to a finish, I'll pike to the Yukon again. I'll fight, and you bet it's no sham fight. It's hell, but I've been there before. And it's better than this by a damn sight. So me for the Yukon once more. There's gold, and it's haunting and haunting. It's luring me on as of old. Yet, it isn't the gold that I'm wanting, so much as just finding the gold. It's the great big broad land way up yonder. It's the forest where silence has lease. It's the beauty that thrills me with wonder. It's the stillness that fills me with peace. The Spell of the Yukon by Robert Service.
Got a little wildflowers right down by the train. that, buddy? That was the border. Now we're in America again. We're in the United States again. What do you think, Cameron? It's a pretty cool train ride.
Well, we go into 2 tunnels.
Oh yeah? See the wood there? Nothing. See all the pieces of wood, different old train tracks or whatever. Prospectors took. See down there, Cameron? That trail carved out along the rock? See it down there? Above the snow line, see it? tunnel. And back out. Dragging a horse in the snow. Holy moly. Park, isn't it?
Yeah. Look at that down there.
Yeah. Wonder what that used to be. Prospector's place, maybe? there, Cameron? You see the water out there?
No, not yet.
See under the White Cap Mountain? Over there. You just can see a little bit through the cracks of the mountain there. I think that's Skagway Harbor. I think that's where the see the trail cut along the river. I think they just hit the brakes to slow it down a little bit. I think we're getting ready to do a little more downhilly. First up's a doozy. Slippery rock. Yeah, I would say so.
This might be a little bumpy.
Might. What? Don't play with that, Cameron.
Yeah.
Thank you. See the little armadillo statue on the rock back there? goes in a circle, so I don't know. Oh yeah. Glacier up there, Cameron? Up there, see all the ice up there? Oh yeah. The tracks? Oh, yeah. That's to repair the tracks. See, they got weed whippers to keep the grass off the tracks. They got repair tools if the track breaks. That's what fixes it. I'm sorry.
Pre-win. You can take a layer off.
Well, yeah, you might want it once the train starts. Look, here's some water, guys.
Son, I want to take off a
He's
layer.
okay. He's
I
okay,
feel
Cam,
good.
man. He's okay. Yeah.
I was just going to. Oh, man.
You're looking out there, dude. See the engine cam, Sean? Sean, you see the engine out there? There. What, huh? Believe in me, huh? got one. We'll see, honey. Yeah. Let's see if that's what we
He
get there.
got a bug and an animal, and I got nothing.
I didn't say he was getting it. I just said we'd see. Hey, 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 hey. Get your elbows down, please. Please. Thank you. Get off the mat. Come over here. There you go. Hold the stable stop. Perfect. First guy. Don't.